Hey guys, so I'm Trevor, and welcome to my channel if you're new. Hi, hello, I'm Trevor, and this is going to be on a video on MBTI and personality typology, and just why we can't falsely advertise, or why we shouldn't mistype, think that we're one type when we're actually this type, if we don't have the same function, we don't have this and that in common. I mean, yeah, there are certain behaviors, different types can behave the same way, but, you know. Anyways, I'm your INFJ here. I'm an INFJ, as you can tell, probably. And we're going to be talking about mistyping. And so, get a false impression of what a certain type is.
You can't sit with us!
So, for example, like, if you think you're an INFJ and you're actually an INTP, you could give off the wrong image of an INFJ to people on Reddit, on YouTube, and on Facebook, and just places that you go, or that might have MBTI being talked about, because, people will trust that you know what you're talking about, you know your type, and when you say you're one type, but you're not this type, and you're behaving in a different way than the type actually behaves, then it's hard to be like, yeah, you're that type, but also if you behave the same way, or you're trying to fit into that type area, then I think that it's really dangerous, because you can end up trying to fit in, and then we can't tell if you're actually the type or not, and it's hard, because then people come in and they're like, oh yeah, you're that type, and then they see you talk a certain way that is similar but slightly different to someone else, just trying to fit in, and then you might have a different way that you think about things, or decide on different things, and that's okay, but we need to kind of know our own cognitive functions, because we only have these functions. We're not going to have the function that we want, because we're only going to have the one that we have, you know what I'm saying? Like, we only have we have in reality. So, I don't want people to be confused when they see a type behaving this way, and they say they're this type, but actually they're this type, and it's just dangerous. It's not healthy, I don't think, personally. But it's also, I don't know, it's a weird mixture, I think. That being said, we tend to get it right half the time. So, like, we got, for example, for a celebrity, we got Oprah Winfrey right, but she's an FE Dom, she's an ENFJ, she's pretty easy to type, and we all got her right, basically. But then we have people like Taylor Swift, who could be an ENFJ, it could be an INFJ, could be ESTP, could be ESFJ, could be in reality, she probably is an ESTP or an NTP of some sort. I don't know. To me, she is, at least. But in reality, she's only gonna be one type. And if we can't agree on her, but we can get Oprah Winfrey, then what's to say about our own type? We can get some people right, some people wrong, but we can't get our own type wrong, right? That's not allowed at all. That's not gonna be allowed at all, right? No, not at all. But that's why I'm making this video series that I'm making right now on different MBTI types, in terms of, like, I'm trying to find different portrayals of MBTI types, whether it be a YouTuber who has a personality type of ISTP, which I have coming up soon, or like a video game character, a movie character, you know what I'm saying? All these different characters that portray a personality type should, without even trying to think that, oh, I want to be this type, or without meaning to be that type, because they're not really going to be growing as much as a person that is focused on typology and is focused on self-growth and using this stuff to grow themselves. But to some degree, I don't think that it's good, or it's I think it's easier to see what a type looks like, so we differentiate between ourselves and other people with types. So that being said, let's move on to the self-growth and talk about this, because I feel like a lot of us use MBTI and typology for self-growth concepts, and to learn about who we are and who we want to be and who we're going into, and what functions are we going into, which way are we going, what way should we go, and that's good. But if we're putting up the wrong perception of ourselves, or if we're trying to fit into this one kind of image of I'm this type, or you're not that type, it ends up stunting self-growth and then stunting the community growth of, oh, you're not this type, but you're portraying yourself as this type because you think you're this type, you're not the type, and, you end up, it just ends up being bad because they end up confusing sometimes for other ones, and you end up, it's a mess, It's like trying to throw in a million different ingredients into a cake batter without having an actual recipe. Like, eventually you'll get like a consistency that you'll like, but like you're gonna be trying for a long time if you don't know if you have never baked a cake before. You know what I'm saying? So, what are some tips that I might have that might make it easier for you? Because I've been kind of learning about typology for almost 2 years now, probably 2 years August, I believe, and actually like to focus on this stuff. I done MBTI tests before, but I didn't really learn about the functions or anything until the past couple of years. But now this finally is clicking. I wanted to kind of bring this to you and talk to you guys about how I learned the distinction, and maybe this might help you guys learn the distinction between different concepts like the function versus the test, and why one is better than the other one, or like functional axes versus dichotomies, and why one is better than the other one. And there are just certain ways that people start off with that don't end up being the best to learn typology with, and these are just some tips that I've learned over the years, and some just information that I think that help synthesize my understanding of MBTI as a total, because for a while I only knew about my type, and even then I didn't know a lot about it. I kind of was getting confused. I didn't know the functions, I didn't know about the functions, I didn't know this and that, and now I'm starting to get a grasp on it, and I feel like I can kind of see the overall kind of like big picture image of what everything is kind of connecting to, and how it's all connecting in like a diamond kind of structure, and it's great, and I want to be able to give this to you guys. So with that being said, I have a bunch of tips right here. So let's get into the tips, right? Tip number 1, the test versus the cognitive functions, right? So we end up when we first enter MBTI, we end up taking a cognitive test or like a personality test, and we're given like, oh, INFP, ENFP, this, that, right? We're given ESFJ, but the test could be wrong because A, we could not be viewing ourselves as the type we are. B, we could be answering questions wrong and thinking we're one type and we're not. We could be getting the function test wrong. We could be associating a question for a function. We might want to be more F than T, or more FE than TE, or whatever. We might want to be lower FE and higher TI. We might want to be this or that, and that can skew results, and that can make you choose answers that you aren't, and that's not really great in my mind. Critical thinking can be a concept when you're taking the test, but in reality, we're just kind of answering questions, and I feel like a lot of us don't critically think when we're taking personality type questions. I don't know. It's hard to self-analyze and self-criticalize ourselves when we don't know what ourselves actually are, or when we don't trust ourselves. Type descriptions don't help also, because they end up, for a while they end up being really bad type descriptions where they would be like, oh, INFJs are really rare unicorns that end up doing this and that, and they end up predicting the future and being psychic and doing this and that, and end up painting the picture of INFJs are really awesome, and censored descriptions are really bad. Like ISFPs, they're like this dreaming freaking unicorn or a dreaming flying horse end up, I don't know, like freaking knowing themselves and knowing everything and sticking by themselves, and sometimes we get the definition of stupid or whatever, and it's not the case. And so in the end, it all goes back to learning cognitive functions. We need to learn cognitive functions in order to know the language that MBTI is talking about, so that we're talking about the right thing, that we know who we are and who other people are based off of what the definitions are. Which is why I love Dave's Superpowers, because he has a great objective definitions. So with functional axes, next I want to talk about this because it's another great way of learning the functions and how they interact with each other. It's like putting a puzzle together. You piece together, and then you kind of put them all together to make the whole. And when you fit NE and SI together, or NI and SC together, depending on the position in the stack, like dominant and inferior, or auxiliary versus tertiary, or this and that. When we see these different things and how they interact with each other, we end up seeing combination, and we end up seeing like, oh, NI and SC or NI DOM ends up synthesizing a lot of information subconsciously that you don't even know exists, because you're just like, oh yeah, like that makes sense that my SE kind of picks up without knowing it picks up, and you're like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. Like this is the conclusion of this thing because my SE gave me this information. Now my NI just figured all this out and laid it all out and connected everything and made the right path to the right thing, because, or what I believe is the right thing in essence. You know what I'm saying? It ends up like scoping everything down and be like, okay, I think they picture it. They have a picture of like a funnel, like a space funnel, where like it ends up pulling things in, allowing them to end up like sorting it out and synthesizing it into like this tiny particles that can make sense in the head, in the brain, which is great for some things, but it's also really slow to some degree, so that's great, yeah. So with the axes, we have the perception axes, or the NESI, SCNI, NESI, those ones, right? Then we have the judging axes. So we have the feeling and thinking axes, FETI, TEFI, so on and so forth, right? We have these axes of functions, right? And they kind of combine to produce effects like, NISC, funnel together information and produce little chunks that are connected that make sense to the overall picture. And, that might not make sense to some people, but to some degree, an NI dominant is going to be different than an NI auxiliary, or an NI tertiary, or an NI inferior. An NE person is going to be different than an NI person. An SI person is going to be different than an SE person. And even though we don't tend to think about this way, we really should think about, like, in terms of, like, axes, because it makes sense. Like, if we know the whole, and we know the two parts, we can kind of figure out what two parts made the whole, and we kind of figure out, we kind of break down to like, okay, well, this and this make this because this is this and this is this, so yeah, so it has to be that way, you know what I'm saying? It's easier to see things in tandem and in kind of coercion and in cohesion. It's easier to see things working together than it is to see them apart. And that's just human nature. It's easier to see the effect of the cause. The effect might have multiple parts to it, but it's easier to see the effect. The cause might have multiple parts to it, but the effect is what we see. We end up seeing this as this. And that's, it's really strange, because I feel like with axes in general, yes, it can be frustrating to hear stereotypes being used, but with axes, stereotypes are really great, because you end up seeing that, oh, this thing behaves this way in this people, and depending on where it is located in the functional stack, it might behave one way or it might behave a different way. And we can kind of almost stereotype that based off of what is happening around people that use that same function in that same area. And that's okay to use stereotypes at first. If the stereotypes are accurate, then why can't we use them? It makes me frustrated that people say stereotypes are wrong, even though they're not wrong, they're just not provable at the moment, you know what I'm saying? They're not provable because we can't scan for cognitive function in the brain, because we can't even, we don't even know what most of the brain is. We know that it's axons and neurons and tracts, and we know that it's all these different things, but we don't know where to find a lot of different things either. So it's a challenging area by itself, let alone personality and psychology. So stereotypes I feel like they should be just as valid to some degree. Not, I feel like cognitive functions are a must, and those in the functional axes are important. But I also feel like stereotypes are just as important, because if the stereotypes match up with the function, which match up with the axes that we think they are, then obviously they're probably the type, because they behave that way, they think that way, they act that way, so they're probably the type, And again, I'll be showing you guys these kinds of things in newer videos I'm going to be making. But I also, I want to bring them now. The serious being okay. It can be okay to just automatically think, oh, this person's an STP. Oh, this person behaves like SFJ. This person behaves like this. Granted, we're not always right, and that's okay. We're not always going to be right. But we can build off of where we're wrong from there. And that's where I think it's okay to mistype, because we build off from where we're wrong, and other people can help us. But when we're super resilient to what we're thinking, I don't think that other types can help us at all. I don't think that other types can make us. If we're not resilient, if we're not going to be okay with mistyping and think that, okay, if I mistype that I'm okay, I'm back to this type, and we don't accept that we're not our type, we're a different type. I feel like, I don't know. With that being said, this is the end of this video. Hi, hello. If you guys made it to the end of this video, comment something below about how did you first enter MBTI, and did you mistype ever? Do you think you mistyped? Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one, and bye guys.